Hello, everyone. Welcome to the conference. I'm sorry I have a lot of stuff to set up today because I have some live demo, maybe interesting. So I'm Kudo Chien. I work from Expo, and actually I'm thinking there's a lot of exciting, fantastic talks in this conference. So I'm trying to talk something fun while I'm doing on my spare time for you. So there's no expo stuff. That's react-native-skia. What? What's that? Okay. Originally, I'm thinking the react-native on Linux, but Skia is fun. So I'm trying to speak about Skia. Sure. And thanks for William Candinen, who talked an exciting talk this morning. And he actually has a blog post on the Shopify blog. And he mentioned one renderer, 3 platforms, and 3 as we think is iOS, Android, and web. Now we have the 4th. That's Linux with the Skia. Thank you. And actually, there was 2 react-native-skia projects. That's confusing, right? Yeah. And let me show the history. And there's a totally different react-native-skia, even though it's the same name. But I will show you it's not so very confused because the top one, which I released 3 years ago, which is focusing on new platform. The other one, where Shopify, William Candinen, and Chien, is focusing on existing view, namely iOS, Android, and web. Right? But it's not confusing, given nowadays, okay, ooh. Nowadays, there's a lot of React-Native library, and both of them on the bottom side talk about Vue or native module. So with reanimated, SVG, or Picker, talking about Vue. But there's rare exception. React-Native is not talking about Vue, which is about platform, like Windows, web, macOS. So we can think about that. React-Native-skia could be both fit to a view and also to the platform. So that's actually React-Native-skia from Shopify, rendering on React-Native-skia / React-Native-skia. All right, a little weird. And yeah, last year being this exciting conference, I met William our first time, and we took a good photo and have a good treat, like a React-Native-skia reunion. And that's happening in real life. That's actually the 2 React-Native-skia being reunion in the product life. So talk about the platform of the Skia project, which built on top of the React-Native new architecture. How is it? That's a typical React-Native component. And then on the old architecture mode, we call the paper mode. Typically, we have a React-Native render tree. And on each platform, we should have to do a lot of work to do the UI manager, to do the shadow tree, and mapping to the platform host platform tree, host platform UI tree. So if we fork the React-Native core and to support a new platform, there will be a lot of work. Thankfully, for the new architecture, especially for the Fabric, right now we have a Fabric UI manager and a shadow tree, which is written by C++. And the core can be shared to be different platforms. And for the blue part building block, you don't have to re-implement again when you're forking to support the new platform. All we need to do is to support the ground block where the mounting manager and mapping to the host tree. And React-Native-skia did is actually replaced by host view tree to skia drawing command. So like a draw rag, draw image rag, and exactly that's what React-Native-skia. And this project actually released 3 years ago. At that time, it's just a proof of concept. So I have a picture and a code at that time, and there's a view, image, and text, just like that. Nothing else. So you cannot have a view border, view shadow, and image. You can even fetch image from the network. So no network activity at all. And importantly, there's no compositor. Compositor is like a drawing between layer to organize things like efficiency and doing correct. So I have a busy loop, like keep painting, so the CPU will be very high. And in some case, if you're drawing the layer in incorrect order, you'll see the weird picture. That's why the proof of concept I showed before is a really simple use case. And I also think about like porting compositor, because compositor is a very complex building block in this system. So I think about to port from something else that's called Flutter engine. And that exactly has a good fit for the compositor, which called flow compositor. And built on top, there's a shell, and their APIs from pure C, so API safe, and support each platform. If we can do that, build on top of the shell and flow, we can literally support all the Flutter platform we want to support. And we also think about call it React Native Flutter. Okay, and unfortunately, Flutter's code is really tight coupled to the .vm. So I tried very hard to decouple from each code, but it's too hard, so I gave up. So there's no React Native Flutter. Okay, but what's the project state in this year? After 3 years, so during these 3 years, what's happening? We now support more features. We support Linux. We support more view property, image property, and especially score view. Score view is really complex. You have to do it from scratch, doing touch event, doing the score bar drawing. Okay, there's another demo on Linux. So you can see there's a demo, the touchable, model, and you can see touch event is visible, focusing on different building block, score view, and then flat list also supported, and touch input. So that's an on-screen touch input keyboard. Okay. Another demo from a real product one. We can show you like a login phone. So after login, so there's a TV poster. You can see different picture. There's scholar, and focusing have a highlight, border, and shadow. So that's the current state of the react-native-skia. All this work is not done by myself. Actually, I did not did much during these 3 years. There's one fork called Nagra OpenTV. So you can see from this GitHub graph, there's a lot of contributions from Nagra OpenTV. But what's that? It's actually a sub-company belong to the Kudo group. And Kudo group doing a lot of product in the world, like security, IoT. And Nagra team is focusing on embedded TV set-top box. So, what a coincidence, Kudo, the founder, is coming from Polish. Ooh, how I got it. Okay, and that's the guy reached out 3 years ago. Like he mentioned, they want to port the Skia project to their embedded Linux set-top box product. So that's the beginning. And during these 3 years, they have more than 10 people involved in this project. And most importantly, their senior VP and director still keep helping have a lot of people doing this project. So I was thinking this company is not very well known in React Native community, but someone still in the world doing a lot of fantastic stuff to this community. So give them a round of applause, please. Thank you. Oh, yeah. There's another one from their repository called build react-native-skia, because when they are talking about porting react-native-skia on embedded Linux, they actually support different Linux rendering backend, like X11, Wetland, and DirectB. So we can actually run react-native-skia on this Raspberry Pi 3 device. I'm going to show you a live demo. Okay, because it's very hard to bring a large screen, so I have a Raspberry Pi with a small screen built-in. Okay. Is it doing good? Okay. So we can take a little. Sorry. Okay, that's better. So that's a Raspberry Pi device. So we can see different UI effect, text, and border, and JavaScript animation. That's one thing I want to mention because native animation driver is not implemented yet. So that's happening only on JavaScript thread. And the performance looks not so bad, right? Okay. And also we have the image support and shadow. Okay. So that's the demo on Raspberry Pi device. Thanks, Gabriel. Sorry, I have a lot of stuff. And let's talk about their roadmap, because they are a TV set-top box company. So right now they are trying to support video player on this project. And furthermore, they try to integrate more third-party library like SVG, async storage, reanimated, and also Shopify react-native-skia. Because I show you the previous one is just proof of concept, and we need to formally support it. If you go into layer fork, like this react-native linear gradient example, they have a Skia folder, and there's a build.gn file inside. That's exactly how the project's build file is. So check it out. What's the project state after 3 years later? Why I think it's like a different area. The first question is, which platform do you think is fast? WebView, Android native view, or Flutter? People tend not to answer the WebView, right? But the fun facts, the 3 platforms all rendering on top of Skia. But how is it happen? We talk about the rendering pipeline, this Android native view, 4 steps from the view and going to the Android service, lower hardware UI layer and go to Skia. Flutter, 5 steps, widget tree, element tree, render object tree, and go to Skia layer tree, and passing to the Android service view. And WebView, this is simplified version. So we generate a DOM tree, CSS OM tree. Internally, Chrome will generate fragment tree, property trees, display item list, and it's not stopped yet. We should pass the Skia command to Android native UI system to the view and hardware UI. And that's a full version from the WebKit. That's the graph from the Chromium's rendering architecture mode. So really complex. if you have a React built on top of web view, that's actually adding more layer. So from the left-hand side there is a React element tree, which is virtual DOM. So there's a lot of steps to coding why we have a slowness on web view. So what's the React Native on Android? Better one, because we have a element tree, and going to the React Native shadow tree, and the right-hand side blue building blocks are from the React native rendering pipeline. But if we talk about react-native-skia on Android, that's only 4 steps, pretty much like a Flutter. So it's just a shadow tree going to the Skia render layer tree and passing to the Android surface view. Pretty simple. So we can see maybe if we're doing some, if we keep contribute to this project, we can have a promising speed like Flutter. And also seeing another good part for the React, which people tend to say React good parts for the decorative style to write your UI. But I also see another good part, the render have an abstract. So you have a React code. If you're running on web, you use React DOM. Running on React Native, you have a React Native code. And the code is shared on top of C++, so we can have a different platform. And given like the Shopify's react-native-skia has fantastic UI effect, you literally can draw anything on each platform. Now Skia supports 6 platforms. So if someone like using Electron, which is now very intensive to use a platform native UI, maybe it's a good option. So in the future, a React Native view can be platform iOS UI view or HTML div, like a React Native web. And Sweet UI, React, like Skia direct. And versusly, we can also the HTML div to be React Native view. So that's so flexible of your code that you can literally rendering on any platform. But the project scope is still very hard, large scope. So help wanted, we still lack of CLI support, hard reloading, Hermes, and more third-party library integration. So help, if you're seeing the future of this project, especially from the big company, we really help your join. Okay, before next session, which is React Native on macOS from Microsoft, I will show you another stuff because I'm a macOS guy. I literally not very familiar with Linux, and I developed Skia project on macOS. So if it works, let's see RN tester on macOS. So let's React Native Skia support both Linux and macOS right now. Okay, that's all my talk today. Thank you for listening.